Now at noon, battling the coastal fire, Orange County residents trying to get back home as firefighters work around the clock to prevent any more damage. Thank you for joining us for the KTLA 5 News at noon. I'm Glenn Walker.
And I'm Lou Parker. At least 20 homes are estimated to have been destroyed so far in that fire.
Fortunately, containment has grown today. It is now 25%. KTLA 5's Mark Mester live in Laguna Niguel with the latest. Mark?
Yeah, Glenn and Lou, good afternoon to the two of you from, as you mentioned, Laguna Niguel, where we have some new information from firefighters this afternoon as to why it is that these evacuation orders have still yet to be lifted. We're going to get to that in just a moment, but first we're going to continue to show you the destruction. Again, this is one of those 20 structures that you were talking about, completely destroyed by the coastal fire that happened on Tuesday night. And even so, days after, you could still see some of the hot spots that continue to present itself. What we wanted to show you here just on the ground as our photographer Matt Spinelli was just showing you, in addition to what some of these dozers are picking up, you can see the structure right here. Obviously it used to be 2 stories, but everything collapsed onto what was in the garage. So you can see what's left of a Lexus to the left side. And then to the right side, you could see those wood beams on top of a car that is covered. It does appear to be a luxury classic car. It's tough to get an exact make of the model. But again, this is what so many homeowners are dealing with on the street, which is Coronado Point, definitely a street that was hit hardest by the coastal fire. Now, as we spoke about right now, there's still evacuation orders right now because firefighters are really busy cleaning up some of these hot spots. So we spoke with a public information officer just a short time ago, and he's going to outline why it is that these evacuation orders are still in place right now.
The big concern was people are trying to repopulate in this area right now, and as you can see, there's a ton of different vehicles on the street, everywhere from fire service vehicles to utility companies coming out. And one of the major concerns is we have, obviously, you can see right behind us, some of these walls still standing, and it's extremely unsafe for people to be around those. So what we're doing in today is bringing heavy equipment in. We're bringing some of those walls down so firefighters could go in there and get those hot spots put out, because what we're always worried about, if wind picks up or something like that, some of those hot spots can spread again. We do not want that at all. We want it to be wind tested and safe for everyone to get back in here.
And that's essentially what firefighters are doing on the street right now with those dozers. They're going from each property that they can where homes have been destroyed, and they're digging up those hot spots. Just a quick point to get to how it is that we got here. Fires again started close to about 3 o'clock on Wednesday. It started in the canyon just below where these homes are currently standing, some of them not standing, obviously. And the cause is still very much under investigation, with word that SoCal Edison has written a note to state regulators saying that they had some circuit activity very close to around the time that the fire started, close to that water treatment plant that is just below. We also have a quick map that we want to show you, as that firefighter was talking about those evacuation orders that are still in place right now. You can see those colors of the maps with the 5 freeway to the north of that map, and then you also have the orange and also the red. You can see still no word as to when those orders are going to be lifted. As we come back out here live, you can still see the smoke that is smoldering from one of the 20 homes that were destroyed. Another 10 of these homes are damaged right now. We'll have updates throughout this afternoon, but for now, I'm Mark Mester live in Laguna Niguel, KTLA 5 News.
All right, thank you, Mark. Governor Gavin Newsom has announced another record-setting surplus while detailing how he plans to spend the state's roughly $300 billion budget.
One proposal includes sending $400 checks to vehicle owners. KTLA 5's Corrine Winter is live in Hollywood with a budget breakdown. Hi, Corrine.
Hi there, Lou. Californians, they are looking for a little bit of relief due to these rising costs, whether we're talking high gas prices or high grocery prices. In fact, we've been talking to a lot of people out here, and one of the big questions that they have is, hey, when are we getting those gas rebate checks? Well, we have somewhat of an answer. That's coming up. But first, here's more from a driver. And also, the governor's speaking today about the state's budget surplus.
I'd rather than drop the gas prices and giving us money. But then again, I'm sure people would appreciate those $400.
Projected operating surplus for the state of California in the May revisions, just shy of $100 billion, simply without precedent. No other state in American history has ever experienced a surplus as large as this. In fact, this is actually significantly larger than last year's operating surplus, around $75.6 billion. 75.6 was significant. That, by the way, didn't include the $27 billion from the federal government.
And that was the governor's big announcement this morning. But take a look at this. These are some of the details from Newsom's inflation relief package that was unveiled yesterday. He wants to send everyone a $400 rebate for each registered vehicle they own, with a maximum of $800 per person. The state would also issue $1,000 checks for hospital and nursing home workers for their contributions during the pandemic. He also wants free public transit for everyone for 3 months, and those past due on utility bills would receive assistance from the state. Due to rising inflation levels, while minimum wage, that would go to $15.50 an hour. This would start next year. The governor also wants to suspend the diesel fuel tax for 1 year to help truck drivers. And finally, his plan would provide more emergency rental assistance for low-income tenants. Now, as for those gas rebate checks that everyone's talking about, well, the governor is facing a little bit of pushback from Democratic leaders of the state legislature, who contend that the only people who'd benefit from this are those who own cars during this time. So those who own a car, those who don't. In the meantime, Newsom and state lawmakers could reach a deal next month. So what this all means is that it's still unclear when that would happen, if Californians would get those rebate checks, and if they do, would it be $200 or $400? But Lou and Glenn, you heard from the gentleman at the top of the story, the driver who just pulled up a short time behind me. He said, you know, those checks are great, but how about having the prices go down all across the area? That would be so much better for people. We'd save a lot more. So wishful thinking, I think they're going to stay moderately high for quite some time. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Karine, thank you so much. Well, 5 House Republicans have been subpoenaed by the January 6th committee. It is an unprecedented move that could deepen the partisan divide on Capitol Hill. KTLA 5's Trevor Shirley has the very latest from Washington.
Well, the committee says it wants to know what these 5 lawmakers were doing before, during, and even after the attack. And the committee says issuing these subpoenas was a decision that was not taken lightly. Congressional subpoenas are not uncommon, but it's almost unheard of for Congress to subpoena its own members. It's not clear what, if any, consequences there would be if the 5 lawmakers refuse to comply. Aside from McCarthy, they include Representatives Jim Jordan of Ohio, Mo Brooks of Alabama, Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, and Andy Biggs of Arizona. The committee wants to know more about McCarthy's conversations with former President Donald Trump during the attack and meetings the other 4 men had with Trump in the days before January 6th. The committee says it's important to get every piece of information it can about the attack. So far, more than 1,000 witnesses have been interviewed, including other Republican members of Congress and some of former President Trump's own children.
I have every reason to believe that people receiving subpoenas today will comply with their legal duty, and I would say moral duty, to cooperate with an investigation into an attack on Congress and on the political institutions of the country.
My view on the committee has not changed. They're not conducting a legitimate investigation.